I'm Hazel Criolla,
I'm Myron. Nice seeing you again.
and today we'll be discussing some new things. First, we got an extended E3 trailer for you. Afterwards, we're going to be like talking through it and stuff. After that, we have some updates to share with you, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. So let's start with the trailer.
I am Sir Thomas Redbridge, Grand Master of the Order of the Burning Lion. The land is vast and fruitful. Pagans dwell in the woodlands, savages practicing abominable arts of darkness.
Filthy heathens, I tell you. The devil himself is their god.
The dead are risen and seek to destroy my people.
I fear not even our prayers can save the souls of the soulless.
In my life thus far, I have lost my unborn child, my wife, my fortune. I've been betrayed and dishonored. All for the sake of evil men and their ambitions.
The castle guards serve only to collect.
What more do I have to lose?
But why, Ryan? I mean, Byron. Why an extended trailer? Why not, like, why?
Well, I mean, the reason behind the extended trailer is because, you know, since the original trailer was part of the Upload VR showcase, and by the way, thanks to Upload VR for including us in the showcase. You know, obviously we had to share time with all the other games, and you know, there was a time limit, so we had to keep it pretty much under 2 minutes.
Yep.
Of course, you know, I feel that the extra parts we're showing now, they pretty much give a little bit of background information on the story. You know, you see a couple of characters introducing themselves. You see, you know, you get an idea of how some of the dialogue scenes will be playing out. So I think it was important for us to show that part, you know, to our audience.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they can kind of understand like what kind of world they're getting into, what kind of characters they'll be dealing with. I mean, of course, that's like a tiny, tiny fraction of the whole thing, but still, I think it gives a nice introduction, you know.
Absolutely. Let's go through the trailer and talk about some points. So we're gonna bring one up like on the screen here. Yep, there you go. And when we're just gonna say pause, and then we'll have our guy pause it so we like talk about what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So start from the top.
So let's pause right here. That guy, his name is Sir, he's Lord Thomas Redbridge, right? He says he introduces himself as, the commander of the Order of the Burning Lion. That's one of the many factions you see in the game. It's one of the main ones. Pretty much they control the region in which you'll be playing, and pretty much that guy runs the place, right? So he oversees the entire region, and he's supposed to be the law of the land. I mean, he's not the ultimate authority in the kingdom, or better said, the empire in which this region belongs, but he's the one who runs this specific region. As you can see, he's an old guy. He has some experience. He seems to be, of a noble, noble birth, like higher societal status, that kind of stuff. Obviously has a lot of power since he's a commander of an order. And, I can't say right now if he's good or bad, and obviously, that's up to the players to discover.
Well, will the player have the option to kill him? I'm sure that's what they're all thinking. Can I kill him?
Who knows?
All right, all right. All right, so let's continue. Edward.
Okay, so, here we have several sorts of the lands. You can see there is a variety of types of environments. There's let's pause that real quick. There's like rivers, there is mountains, there is woods, there is castles, cities even, as we see further down in the trailer. And I'll get back to the cities at some point, but, in this shot specifically, we can see that there is a vast land. And most of that land, you can actually travel through it, I mean, some of those mountains, like all the way back, back, you won't be able to reach there. But there's a pretty good area over here that you can travel in. So there's a lot of traveling to be done, I can tell you that. And of course, we don't just want to have a vast amount of land with nothing to do in it, right? There will be hunting, activities like hunting, of course, main quest, side quests, activities that have nothing to do with any quest. But, we definitely want you at some point to just pause and admire the view, as well as have fun doing all the activities we offer,
Yeah, I do that already. That's one thing about VR, just like when you're playing it, you have no choice but to just admire like the scenery around you. It's like,
And, I have to say that, when we were recording the trailer, it felt like, to me at least, it felt like I was really there, like standing up there and looking down the land, and seeing the rivers, and, combined with the sound of the birds and the river stream and stuff. I swear, like I felt like I was there, So yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are concerned with the fact that we have such a vast land, right? They're like, this is VR, how does that perform? You guys have a lot of detail,
Sure.
And that's true, but we use several techniques. I mean, level streaming is one of the obvious ones we're using. And the way we design the land has been divided in such a way that when you cross from one part to the other, you won't notice a difference, but obviously that's when all the optimizations take place. So there's a lot of stuff going behind the scenes, but we don't want the player to notice them easily. Actually don't want them to notice them at all. So we just want you to feel like it's one seamless world. The only time that you would see loading screens as we're designing it right now is when you go from outdoors to indoors. Not always, but there are some areas that obviously we have to load different maps, and there will be some loading screens for that. But as far as the outdoors are concerned, it should be and will be one seamless environment. It would take a considerable amount of time to travel from one side to the other. And there's a variety of types of environments. Even the forests we have in the game, they're not all the same. Some of them have different vegetation, different trees, different wildlife. So you will notice that there is differences between Forest A and Forest B and Forest C. And of course, we have large urban environments like the city we'll check out later on.
Oh yeah, we'll go through
And
that.
castles, fortifications, all the stuff that would keep it interesting.
All right, let's keep going.
So here what we see is, another faction. Actually, those guys, they're the main, the main opponents of the Burning Lion.
Yeah.
They're the wild ones, let's say, right? The pagans in the forest,
Yeah, we know who.
Yeah. So here, for example, we see they practice, all kind of dark rituals, and it's always in the woods. They're very well connected with nature. And it's up to the player if he wants to, or she wants to side up with them or with the other faction or maybe with neither.
Are there inspirations to these for that faction of characters?
Oh yeah, I mean there's several sources of inspirations. Obviously, like the most recent that comes to mind since everybody was watching that Game of Thrones, the Wildlings.
Yeah, of course.
But of course, also from the Conan universe, I'm a huge fan of that.
Of course. Yeah.
Like the Vanir and other guys like that. But overall, I think it's nice to have a wilder side, a faction that's more attached to nature and less attached to civilization. And I think that stands exactly for the opposite of what the Order of the Burning Lion stands for,
yeah,
which is
contrast.
like order civilization, So that's the reason we threw both of them in there. And the funny thing is, in reality, they're not even part of the main quest, I mean, they're pretty major, and they are actually defining the land, right? The outcomes that take place in the land. However, they're not part of the main quest. So I hope that gives an idea to our viewers, what kind of side quests we're planning to have.
Let's keep going with the video.
Yeah, as you can see, we have a lot of NPCs. That's just one of the many you can talk to, and they give their version of how they see things and events. Of course, we have the undead, showing up. So far.
Hope you appreciated the new and improved facial animations there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we put a lot of work in that. I have to give credit to iClone and Reallusion. We've been working hand in hand with them. We've been working very closely with them, and they've been kind enough to provide us with some unreleased materials, some tools that actually they'll be releasing in July, I believe. And those really helped us with the workflow, for pretty much animating characters and bringing better facial and body animations in the game.
Yeah, those are probably the most expensive things you do for a game.
Absolutely,
Like the equipment required for those things are not a joke. So yeah, it's really good that those companies are making indies, making this accessible to indies, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Ed, can we kind of roll it back a little bit, or a little bit more? Okay, so so as I was saying, we have a lot of NPCs, and obviously we want them to have dialogues with you. We want them to be as realistic as possible with the expressions, with body language, and we're still working on all those things. But I think the extended version of the trailer is a good way to give you an idea of where we stand with this and what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff is work in progress. There's a lot of work to be done, but I think it gives an overview, a taste of what's happening right now and what we're trying to achieve. Then here you can see actually the main character. That's one of the few times you'll get to see yourself in third person. So that's the main character. That's who you'll be playing as for this version of the game. As you can see, as you can hear from the way he describes his past, he has a pretty dark past, pretty depressive. But I think that kind of helps build the character in the game, because pretty much he's a character that has nothing to lose, right? So it kind of can justify whether the player chooses to, to take a path that leads to redemption, perhaps, or a path that leads him even further down the darkness, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So I think the backstory of this character kind of allows us to, to give the opportunity to our players to decide how the bad events this character experienced in the past will define him in the future. So let's keep going, Ed. Yeah, you can see we're aiming for a very dark atmosphere, like. And of course, we have a lot of stuff happening, like armies marching through the woods, then, melee combat with decapitations and all that stuff. We've been working a lot on collisions, on crossbow mechanics, on AI, all that stuff. You can see some of that stuff the beta testers have already seen. Some of it is completely new. As you can see, we even have mechanics where you can throw someone off the
Yeah.
of the castle walls. So we want this to feel pretty real. Like if you feel like doing something and you can think of it. Actually, let's pause here because that will be pretty important in a while. Uh, like if you feel like you want to do some stuff, we don't want to restrict you too much. I mean, at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it is a game.
Yeah.
So there have to be some restrictions, especially at such a scale, right?
Yeah.
But if the player feels like throwing somebody off the cliff, go for it. Try it.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens, right?
People are going to try. I can say that.
Yeah, exactly. As we know, VR players
Yeah.
like trying all kinds of crazy
Everything.
stuff, which makes sense to me. So that's why we want to enable them, to be able to actually do that. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
you might be walking behind a castle garden and you're like, you know what? Let me see if that works. Well, you might be surprised. I think one of the important things that we have, as you can see, Ed, let's start playing and let's pause at the dragon action. Okay, well, that's fine. We have horses and dragons, as you can see. So, I would say that dragons are a major thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously we showed it already at E3, but we never really talked about it, right? It was kind of a surprise. And I know that a lot of people have concerns about dragon riding in VR, and they're right, to be honest. It can be pretty intense.
Yeah, I've played about like 3 or 4 games, and I'm talking like back from DK1 all the way till now, like all this content that's been out. And I think there's only been like about 4 projects that has like a dragon riding mechanic. And yeah, they still haven't done it really right, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. No, it's pretty hard because you have considerable height, right? You're flying at a considerable altitude, and
The speed.
the speed is pretty fast. You can't use the same speed you use on the ground. Although the higher you are, the better it is, obviously.
Yeah.
But when you're kind of closer to the ground, everything feels super fast.
Oh, I'm sure.
But we're trying to counter that by having a lot of things coming into the view of the player. As you can see, we have like a throne where the player sits. So this way, you always have a steady reference point while flying the dragon. So it kind of helps, trick the brain that okay, things are not moving as fast and they're not as nauseating as they should be otherwise. We're still working, of course, on a lot of those techniques, and much further down the road when we actually give our beta testers those mechanics. Not yet.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of work to be done. So, when we finally give our beta testers access to those mechanics, obviously they will give us their feedback.
Of course.
And then we'll be able to fine-tune all that stuff. But until then, we'll do as much as we can to make sure that, it's a pleasant experience
Of course, yeah.
rather than something that makes you say, okay, my stomach is all over the
Yeah.
place, I'm out.
Yeah, you guys will let us know. I mean, the feedback we'll get for this dragon is going to be super important for getting like the best experience for it. So
And
we
of
appreciate
course,
it.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be asking, can we burn things with a dragon? Yes,
Oh.
you can. I mean, otherwise, what would be the point? I mean, I get it. You could fly around, it could be a means of transportation,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be fun if you couldn't burn things with it.
Yeah, I say if you want to like stay on the ground and go exploring but like still be faster than walking, the horse is perfect.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
You want to you're exploring the land that you're on, so it's perfect. But if you get on a dragon, it's like, oh, you know where you're gonna go, but it's really far.
Yeah.
So I think
And most
they
likely-
both serve a good purpose.
And of course, just because you're on a dragon doesn't mean you'll be invincible, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's say, you approach one of those castles you see in the trailer. Yeah, don't think that we'll be defenseless. I mean,
Oh, I'll just leave it
I
at
mean,
that.
no Kalisa stuff here. You can't just destroy a city just because you have a dragon. They will be able to defend themselves. So, we want to balance the whole experience so that, you don't feel overpowered. I mean, obviously, you will feel pretty
a
powerful
little
with a
bit, a
dragon.
little bit.
But yeah, you won't be godlike. And then, of course, we have, the horses. So,
Go ahead.
Ed, let's keep going. Yeah, actually, as you can see, you can fight while being on a horse. You can decapitate, you can defend yourself, you can use crossbows, bows, everything.
Yeah, crossbows on a horse might be my favorite thing to do right now.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
there was things to shoot on the dragon while holding a bow, I would do it more often. But since like you're high up in the air when you're shooting,
I
right?
mean, you could use the bow while on the dragon.
You
but,
can, yeah.
So as you can see, we have quite a lot of detail going into the cities, right? So besides of what we have outside with the woods and everything, all the detailed environments with flowers, grass, whatever you name
Oh
it.
yeah.
We have very lively cities. I mean, we're still working on them, but as you can see, it has a market, it has a square, and that's only one of the many squares this particular city has. There's a city guard, which is pretty much an independent faction from the other factions we mentioned earlier. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening. So, and of course, a bunch of interesting NPCs to meet, and everybody's favorite, taverns. There will be some of those,
Oh yeah.
so you can go get drunk and all of that. So yeah, let's keep going.
I'm gonna check on the comments, see if anyone said anything.
Yeah, and here we just see another character. I mean, there's so many characters that you can interact with that, you can get in the whole bunch of different.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Go on.
Yeah, that wasn't from the city.
Twitch ads.
Somebody was, while burning the witches at the stake,
Oh,
had their
yeah.
phone on. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
There's a lot of stories.
That guy.
There's that guy waving his finger at you, And your actions will have consequences, so that might be your fault actually. Like that burning house, that could be your fault for all I know. So you have to be careful what you do, or maybe you don't want to be careful. Maybe you want to be reckless. So either way, your actions will influence, the outcome of a whole bunch of different quests or stories. So yeah, I mean that pretty much covers what we've been showing here for the trailer.
So after this, we're gonna do updates. Update on the project itself, and then do a little Q&A. By the way, if you guys have any questions on what you saw in the trailer and the extended trailer, let us know. We'll answer it. So, Helm's update.
So obviously there's a lot of stuff we showed with this trailer, right?
Yep.
I think there's a lot of stuff that we've been talking about for a while, but we never showed. There was stuff we never talked about and we showed for the first time, right?
Yep.
And I think it really shows what we're trying to achieve with this game, what we've been always saying, right? And I think it's a step forward. It's a huge step forward from what we have shown publicly so far.
I think so.
I mean, we saw a huge landscape. We saw dragon riding, flying, horse riding, combat while being mounted, character interaction, a whole bunch of different characters, different factions, different environments, different combat systems, different interactive systems, different a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And all looking pretty detailed. We're trying to make them look as realistic as possible, and of course always keeping in mind the performance restrictions that VR has. I have to be honest, we're pretty much targeting the newer generation of VR, and we are targeting, higher end PCs, because this is pretty much next gen stuff as far as VR is concerned. Now, with that said, this is and has always been an ambitious project, right? If anybody thought it wasn't, which I don't think there's anybody that
I
thought
don't
that,
think so.
we can confirm it is. And, it takes time to build up things.
Absolutely, yeah.
I understand that there's a lot of people out there that have been saying, hey guys, you released Early Access 1 back in August 2017. We are pretty much almost in August 2019. It's been 2 years. What's going on? When is stuff going to be released? Well, it's not that simple. I mean, just for comparison, right? Take a look at The Witcher 3. That took at least 5 years, if not more, I think, to develop. They had at least 300 people or something like that working for them, and a budget that would rival any expensive high-budget movie. So what's my point? My point is we're not a studio that has that kind of funding. We're not a studio that has that kind of resources or that kind of manpower.
Truth.
So it takes time. It takes time and it takes a lot of effort. And people might say, okay, then why did you guys start doing something like that? Why did you start such an ambitious project? Well, I think there's a lot of stuff that people can play if they just want to play something just to experience VR. And there are some excellent games out there and applications just to experience VR for the sake of experiencing VR.
Sure.
But what we're trying to achieve here is something more than that. We're trying to achieve, the kind of game at least we wanted to see and experience in VR, the kind of game we believe VR exists for.
Absolutely.
We believe that VR is a portal to a different world, you know? It's not just an experience. It's like, just like I said, a portal to a different world. Like, you live through it. You don't just experience it. And in order for us to achieve a product that matches that kind of expectation, we have to do a lot of work, and this will take a lot of time.
Sure.
I mean, and I have to be honest, you know, being indie developers, that puts a lot of restrictions on us. But, you know, we are actually looking right now at additional sources of funding. You know, we're exploring different options to add even more funding, you know, so we can be better and faster at the same time. But as things are right now, I have to say, you know, this will take a while, you know. And the reason we want it to take a while is because we want this to be the best it can be. We don't just want to rush it out the door and have people buy it just to get discouraged or think, oh, okay, here comes another game that makes us, you know, makes us feel bad about VR, and we're disappointed, and they're asset flipping, and, you know, and we're disappointed in VR, and, you know, that's it. VR is dead and all that stuff. We've heard that many times, and we've even had those kinds of comments with Early Access 1, and that's fine. Although I have to say, again, you know, Early Access 1 was 2 years ago. There were a whole bunch of different stuff. There were a lot of unknowns. And again, it was an Early Access title, and we were trying to see how people feel about certain mechanics and certain things. But the goal has always been to release a game like that, an open world game, you know, with all the features we just mentioned a while ago. So those kind of things take time. I mean, be it CD Projekt Red with Witcher 3 or Rockstar with Red Dead Redemption, those kind of games, you know, they take a lot of work, a lot of human hours, a lot of effort, and a lot of money. Now, we are able to do a lot of work for a fraction of that cost, but that doesn't mean, you know, it will be done fast. So, like I said, it will take time, so we're asking, you know, especially from the beta testers that signed up, we know you guys are eager to play, we understand, we appreciate that, but it takes time. Even to give you the beta testing, you know, versions that we have in mind to give you for different mechanics, this and that, it takes time, because by the time we feel comfortable enough to give them to the beta testers, first we ourselves as gamers to feel comfortable with them.
We have our own testing and all that.
Exactly. I mean, there's always an internal testing before it goes there, right?
Of course.
So, and someone could say, well, then it's not really beta testing, it's alpha testing. To be honest, those are semantics. I mean, it doesn't matter. You want to call it alpha testing or beta testing, that's fine. In my understanding, alpha testing has a lot of gray boxing. Beta testing is something more complete, you know, something closer to what it's supposed to look like, but it's not a final product. And what we've been giving to our beta testers is not gray boxes, you know, it's not gray box levels or very primitive things. I mean, again, this is down to semantics. It doesn't matter so much. What matters is that we are working day and night, you know, we are pretty tired actually, and that's fine, that's normal. But we want to look for additional sources of funding so we can be faster with this. Now, it's not a matter of, you know, where it will be done or not, it's a matter of how fast it will be done.
Yep.
So that's why we're looking into more options, and, you know, we're keeping our minds open on several different things we got going right now in the background. So let's see where that takes us.
And another reason is our beta testers. I mean, the interaction that we have with them and making this game is basically like, it's not really that common either.
Yeah, exactly.
We're basically formulating a game, but it becomes more refined because of the people interacting with us, because of the people on Discord, the people that visit us on Twitch, and it's because of those people that we're able to make it better too, like on another level.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even, if somebody said, hey, what you guys are doing is not beta testing, I wouldn't disagree with them, because I don't know what to call what we're doing. It's something that has not been done before. You know, imagine like while Witcher 3 was being developed, the developers allowed a group of people to come in, play the game, give feedback, and then based on that feedback, change the game, right? That doesn't happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, you know, some more experienced developers might argue that, hey, there's a reason this doesn't happen. Sure, I don't disagree with that either, but, you know, we all have different approaches.
Yeah.
And I think that lately, one demand that most people within the gaming community have been making is for more transparency, right?
Oh yeah,
So I think that what we're doing is
providing it.
providing more transparency in the process of developing the game. And
Mhm.
again, I don't know if it's wrong by somebody else's
Hey, you
book.
guys tell us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you don't want this to happen, that's fine. We can stop it. But I think so far has been great.
Yeah, I liked it.
I have enjoyed interacting with the very vocal people of
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
community.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be learned and very valuable feedback, in all the information they provide after playing the game.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, it does help, build a better game. Of course, it
It
does
does.
delay the process, to be honest,
It does.
but that's okay. I think at the end of the day, we all want the same thing.
Yeah.
Our audience wants to play the perfect game. Well, there's nothing perfect, to be honest, but as perfect as possible.
Yeah. We'll just
Yeah.
say coolest. How about
The
that?
coolest. There you go. So they want to play a solid game, right?
Absolutely.
They have
So do we.
they have a very specific vision of what they want to play, and we have a very specific vision of what we want to provide. And I think those two visions are the
Come
same.
in. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's worth the time and the effort we're taking, to achieve that. So I understand. Again, sometimes some people might be a little bit restless, and I don't blame them. I have been
Absolutely. I
restless
can't-
myself for so many games that are in development.
I want to play Cyberpunk like right now.
Oh yeah,
Like
I
right
went to
now.
play when it was first unveiled,
Yeah.
and it's been how many years has it been since then?
Oof.
It's been a
two,
while.
two, minimum two for sure.
Oh, it's been more than that.
Minimum, but I'm not. Yeah, it's a lot. But
Yeah.
either way, we're doing this with a purpose. Our approach might be a little slower, but I think overall it was gonna come out with a way more polished and better game than if we did it without this approach.
Correct. And some people will say, okay, so you guys sound like you have a completely different mentality than you had when you released Early Access 1. That's not true, to be honest, because again, when we released Early Access 1, there was pretty much not much to do in VR, right? And there were a lot of unknowns, so we had to get that feedback, positive or negative, from Early Access 1, so we can move on to the next milestones and steps, which were to build this kind of game we're building now. So we always had that same approach, that we want to release a polished experience and take however long time it takes to release that experience, So Early Access 1, as I've often said in the past, is not representing anything other than a game that was in early access in very early stages and actually was to be completely modified. So then someone else could say, okay, why aren't you releasing then what you have right now as early access too? Since it's still early access, you could maybe get away with that.
Yeah.
But it's not that simple either, right? Because one thing we did understand from Early Access 1 is people often believe that early access titles should be near final. Now, that's not what early access stands for, but it doesn't matter. That's the idea a lot of people in the gaming community have. So, obviously we don't want to disappoint this group of people either. And at the same time, regardless of that, we have to take the time and first feel comfortable ourselves with what we have before we put it out there. And we have a lot of mechanics and a lot of
Oh, yeah, we
features
do.
going on
Yeah.
that it's not just easy for us to say right now, okay, let's package what we have, put it out there on Steam, and let people tell us what they think. It's not that simple. No. I wish. So that's why we're not ready for an early
Even if
access
we
today.
could, we wouldn't, because
Exactly.
it's not.
No.
It's not there.
We want people to play this game and feel good,
Yeah.
And until we have something that we ourselves feel good about and think that will make people feel good, we're not ready to put it out there. We'll keep working on it and, keep pushing the envelope as much as we can and as much further as we can.
And if you really disagree with us and you're just like, but I want it now, you know what you can do? You can join the Discord
Yeah,
and then just help us update it.
that's true.
Give us your feedback.
And, you can also become a beta tester because you never know when you might get something.
That's true.
I mean, you won't get
they
the
have-
whole thing we've been showing here. That's not going to happen anytime soon, I'm not going to lie. But who knows, maybe, a month or two down the road, and don't quote me on that. That's just hypothetical.
Quoted.
speaking, yeah. You know, it's nothing set in stone, you know, but let's say, you know, couple of months further down the road, surprise, surprise, out of the blue, you can ride the dragon and tell us what you think. Or maybe you can walk into the city, you know, and interact with NPCs and tell us what you think. So you never know what kind of surprises we'll come up with and when we'll come up with them. So it's good to keep track of the game. It's good to interact with us. I think we're pretty easy to talk to, right?
Absolutely, I think so.
And pretty accessible. I mean, all you have to do is join the Discord, you know, and pretty much just talk to us. That's what a lot of people have been doing, and we appreciate that. And I think they appreciate it also that we talk back to them. I mean, we won't always be in front of the keyboard, obviously, and talking to people, you know, because somebody has to build the game. But, you know, I think we've been interacting quite a lot with everybody whenever they ask us to, and I think that's some good relationship to have, and I think it helps us also, you know, build a better game.
Yeah, I think so. So, going to open up to Q&A. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Right now, I just have a notification that Nagual's here. How's it going, Nagual?
Hey, Nagual.
But yeah, I think everyone on our Discord knows that, you know? Like, I think they appreciate and, like, understand that.
No, of course, but you know, the reason I'm saying a lot of things that we have said in the past, and you know, we know that people on Discord know, but for example, we noticed that after the E3 trailer, you know, once the E3 showcase, Upload VR's E3 showcase was live, actually we saw a huge spike in wishlist addition on Steam. So we know there's so many people suddenly that are interested in the game, and those are people we probably didn't interact with. I mean, the numbers are way larger than what we have on Discord, so we know there are people we haven't talked to yet, and who knows, maybe they watch the stream since we'll post it on YouTube. So, you know, that's why we go over a lot of things that maybe we said in the past, or things that maybe people on Discord know. You know, it's not necessarily for the fanatics, you know, like Nagual and Kangar, but you know, it's for everybody else that has not had the experience of interacting with us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, let's say give it like 2 more minutes, and if no questions,
and you know, in the meantime, I think, you know, for anybody that watches this once we post it on YouTube, you know, watches the recorded version, you know, they can always, you know, drop us the questions they have, either via email or, you know, on Discord. I would say Discord is the best and fastest way to get any answers on your questions.
Basically a direct line to us.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, so it's okay if you miss the live stream, there's no problem. You know, you can just drop your questions on Discord and we'll answer them. Or Steam, actually, you know, the Steam forums also. We're not as active as we would like to be, but once in a while we're definitely checking them out and we're definitely responding.
And also, once we post this on YouTube, you will see the link to the Discord in the description. So, be mindful. And we'll be there, just waiting for you to show up. But yeah.
All right, cool. So, yeah, I think, I mean, pretty much we covered everything there was to cover for today's live stream. As for when the next live stream is, I have no idea. Again, there's so many things going on right now between, you know, trying to find additional sources of funding, the actual development and all that stuff, that it's, you know, again, we're a small team, so things can get a little bit crazy sometimes. Just like today, for example, we were an hour late with the live stream because we have to take care of everything ourselves. You know, the same people that take care of the live stream are the same people developing things. So it's not like we have a dedicated marketing team or, you know, dedicated streaming team, you know. It's a couple of people, you know, doing everything. So that's why sometimes things are not exactly perfect.
But what we can promise is that the people on Discord will be the first to know when it comes to anything new.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Hope to see you next time, and don't forget to join the Discord. See ya.
Take care, guys.